Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Learn with Jason. Today on the show, we're bringing back Cory. Cory, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I'm pumped to have you back. So,
Pumped to
for
be here.
folks who don't remember, we did. Sorry, just one second. I stopped paying for Twitter because I just can't pay for Twitter anymore, and it means that I can't stream to Twitter anymore. So I had to it was throwing a bunch of errors at me. But anyways, okay, I'm actually ready. Yeah, okay. Sorry, everybody. Technical difficulties. Cory, let's talk. You've been on the show before. We did what was honestly like a super enjoyable show,
Awesome.
digging into testing, and not like testing as like a chore you have to do, but testing as an actual tool for helping us think.
Yeah.
But let's talk a little bit about who you are for anybody who didn't catch that first episode, and then we'll get into what we talked about.
Yeah. Hey, I'm Cory. I like to play golf, and I like very smoky scotches, and that's about it. Oh, I guess I'm also a software engineer in my day job. um, yeah, I work at Netflix. I try to spend my time writing code, but more so than ever, it's a lot of like talking to people, listening to people, trying to act confident, but also enough humility to like take feedback from other people. So it's a big balancing act. It's fun.
Absolutely. What's your current favorite smoky scotch?
Oh man, I'm gonna butcher the name. Is it Lafroig? Lafroig?
Mm,
Yeah, it's
you
like
know,
drinking a campfire. I love it.
my first experience with Lafroig was I was, we're gonna say 21,
Totally.
and a friend of mine got his first apartment, and as a gift, he got a bottle of Lafroig as the housewarming gift.
Yeah.
And we sat down thinking to ourselves, "Oh yeah, we're gonna be like grown-ups, and we're gonna drink scotch." And at this point, like mind you, the stuff that we would drink was light beer and like Mike's Hard Lemonade. We were not like alcohol drinkers, you know. And so we got our Lafroig, and not understanding how scotch works, we poured ourselves a solid 4 ounces
Oh,
of scotch, nothing in it, just straight up glass of scotch, and then proceeded to like both hate it with our entire body. Like every part of us was like, this is the worst thing we've ever done, but we weren't going to be the one to say I can't drink this, so
oh
we
my
choked
gosh.
down. Anyway, it took me about another 15 years to be able to drink scotch again.
That's so fun. I can only picture you like being on the couch taking a sip, like dying inside and being like, not that bad. It's pretty good. Yeah.
It's got a good flavor. Yeah, it was like drinking the inside of a cedar cabinet.
Yeah. That's so accurate.
Anyways, this was great. So
Yeah. What am I here for again?
yeah, we're here for we're here. This is Cory Speisman. Let me actually put the branding up so that everybody can see who you are, because
Oh, cool.
yeah, there we go. And so we are talking about tests and cleaner code, and just how that whole process can make us a little bit better at writing good code. So this is a part 2 where we're going to pick up on the repo that we worked on last time. So as a quick refresher, what did we cover last time?
Yeah. So it's probably worth doing my spiel again of like why we want to write tests.
Yes, please.
And the reason for writing tests isn't to write tests for test's sake. And it's definitely not. This gets like bombarded a lot of like tests for good test coverage. I've seen a lot of like high test coverage code bases that just like aren't a really good test suite. But I think the way that tests have been really useful for building software is my goal is that I want to deliver features as fast and as predictably as possible, because the way we like learn, the way we build better software is to put things in front of people, get feedback, learn. So if the goal is to move as fast as possible, I want a really easy to read about code base to work in, because old spaghetti like code is really hard to reason about. It's going to slow like any good developer down. And I say like it'll probably slow like the best developers, it'll slow down even more because they're going to want to go in and like make things nicer. But in order to have easy to reason about code, I need to be constantly refactoring. I need to be constantly like rethinking like the encapsulations, the abstractions that I've made, and like the way that I'm building my public facing APIs around business logic. Okay, in order to get that, I need confidence. In order to refactor constantly, I need confidence I'm not breaking anything. in order to make sure I'm not breaking anything, that's where I need code. That's where I need tests, and that's where I need good tests. So like it's this whole long cycle of like why I need tests, but they become so important for creating clean code bases to reason about.
Right.
Yeah. So where we left off last time is I was walking us through a sample project of me and my friends are trying to eat every menu on every item on the menu at Cheesecake Factory, and I'm happy to share that we made
How's
some
progress going?
It's so good.
You're like 1% complete, I assume.
Yeah,
You've been there
maybe
every day
now.
since we spoke.
Oh man, if anyone wants like the good menu items at Cheesecake Factory, I think I started to like find some really unicorns that like no one probably thinks to try, like French dip cheeseburger. I bet no one thought to try that. It is so good.
I'm not gonna lie, Cory, I've got my doubts.
No, try. Okay, got your doubts.
All right, next time I'm at Cheesecake Factory, I will try the French dip cheeseburger, which is it honestly feels like I need to go to church after I said that phrase out loud.
And when I ordered it, I felt the same way. And I took a bite and I was like, this, like, had I not been doing this exercise of trying to eat every item off the menu, I would have never chosen this item. And I'm so glad I did.
Okay. All right. Okay. That's, you know what? That is a good way to find something, is when you,
for sure.
You find like that, you know what? I should swallow my prejudice on this, because a lot of the food that I love is food that, like, when you hear what it's described as, you're like, that sounds disgusting. And then it's actually really, really good. So yeah. All right. I'm going to go to the Cheesecake Factory. I'm going to try the French dip cheeseburger.
We'll go together. We'll cheers.
So we've been building this project, right? And so what we've been able to do so far is we've gotten a few behaviors out that we wanted to do. We mocked up an API. We were able to get, I think we've got the items loading from the Cheesecake Factory menu. And I think that's about as far as we got. Did we add the checkbox functionality yet? I don't think we did.
It's worth knowing that if people haven't watched the first one, it's probably worth going back and watching the first one. We took a very layered approach to this and really started to rely on our contracts that we were building. And we would create interfaces and say, like, this is our menu fetching service or our menu client. And we would write an interface of like the high level policy for how the consumer of that would work. And then we'd write the actual implementation. So we were in the mid, and this also allowed us to like inject things like fakes or stubs into our test. And we just got to the point where we were working on the persistence layer to say, hey, I've eaten an item, hold on to this. So that way, when I get back to my list, I know which items I've actually eaten. Got
it. Okay. So why don't we do this? Because I want to make sure we've got a lot of time. Let's jump over and actually look at our code.
Cool.
So the first thing I'm going to do, this is the original episode. I've dropped a link in the chat. This was in season 7 last year of Learn with Jason. It's on the Code TV website. You will be able to find it in the link that I've dropped in the chat. It'll also be in the description. And if you need captions, we've got a live captioner. Thank you, Rachel, from White Coat Captioning, for being here today. And you can find that at lwj.dev/captions. We'll take you to that site. So let me drop that on the screen there. We're talking to Cory today. I'm going to drop a link to Cory's LinkedIn, so you can go and find Cory if you want to follow, be friends, all those good things. That not work? What's going on? Oh, no, here it was. Yeah. Okay. And then this is the repo that we were working on today. So this is the repo that we built. It is a work in progress. We've got a few of the tests running. We've got some of the functionality going, but we still have a good list of things that we want to get done. So let me pull this up in my code editor, and I'm going to go ahead and, I guess I'm going to close it all the way, and then we'll try that again. Get out of here. Here we go. And we're going to open recent. Pull up this test and cleaner code, and here we go. On the right-hand side, we've got what we've built so far. Awesome. So this is a, what have we done here? This is an Astro site. It's using React. We've installed Playwright. We've got testing library for React. We've got some JS DOM stuff going on. We're using vtest. So maybe if we want to do just a quick recap for anybody's.
Yeah.
We got some raiders. Welcome, raiders.
Do you want to start the dev server and just see all the gloriousness that we've done so far?
What an excellent idea.
And if it breaks, that tells us what we need to go fix.
Okay, so we are out of date, but everything's still running.
Cool.
And if I head out to here, we can go to localhost 4321, and that is going to give us
here's our at the Cheesecake Factory.
All right, so let me blow this up just a little bit so we can read it more easily. Mortadella panino. Okay, I can get that. All right. Okay. All right. This menu is so wild. Chicken shawarma to mortadella to Thai noodles. It's just it's so much.
It sure is. Okay. We also have a to-do README file, which I usually like to do in my projects just to make sure I stay focused. Or is it
which is especially wise on
the
to-do.md. Here we go.
Okay. So we did the first part. I want to see all the...
We got really far on this first episode.
But we had great conversation, and we laughed a lot. I went back to watch it just so I knew where we left off. But we laughed a lot. It was great. Okay. So we are at the part of I want to mark menu items as eaten.
Okay. So to do this, we need, you mentioned, a persistence layer.
Yep.
We're going to need the ability to, we'll need some UI, like a checkbox.
Yep.
And then we need to be confident that when I click that checkbox, we are sending, actually, this is probably worth a conversation. Do we want it to be when I check the box, it saves, or is it check the box and hit submit and then it saves?
Yeah. I don't know yet. We'll figure it out. Let's do this. Let's go into our menu service is the area that's holding all of our business logic.
Yes.
And it's staying UI agnostic, where it's like the only thing, it doesn't care like who's consuming it. It doesn't care about if it's Astro or React or anything like that. It is literally just holding on to our business logic of like, get me items, get me my eaten items, mark items as eaten. And those are like the only three things. And I think if we open up the test file for this, we have, it loads all the menu items. It marks an item as eaten. So just to walk through this one, we create a menu client stub, which like fakes the items coming back from Cheesecake Factory website. And then we have an eaten items fake, which is a fake persistence layer. And right now, if we dive into that definition, that is just holding on to items in memory.
Right.
Okay. Let's run the test in menu service test and see if they pass or fail or where we left off.
Okay. And to do our tests, I think do we have that just set up as?
Yeah, it should be in the package.
NPM
JSON.
run test or?
Test. Yep. NPM run test.
Okay. Cool. So right now, all of our tests are passing, and you can see that it runs the menu service as well as the menu view.
Okay.
We've got two test files, 3 tests, and all of them are passing.
Perfect. If we were smart, we would have left the other episode with the failing test. So we'd come back and be like, oh, we know exactly where we need to go, which is one of my favorite things to do on like a Friday afternoon of being like, I'm just going to write this test to fail. So that way I can come back and know exactly. So I think our menu service is in good shape for us to now write the UI part.
Okay. Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Let's hop into the menu view. It's up in lib menu. You also gave me a hard time last time because I like to put everything into like a features directory of being like lib menu, and that's where like my components live. That's where my service.
You know what? I started out by giving you a hard time, and I'm fully sold on it after we talked through your reasoning, because I actually, since then, I've realized a couple times where I spread out logic across a handful of things, and then I had to migrate it, and I was like, this is hard to find. I should have listened to Cory and put it in a lib folder.
Yeah. Sometimes I know what I'm talking about, Not often, but every now and then I do. But the best part is I pretend that I know what I'm talking about and that I sound confident.
The secret. That's the secret to it all, right there. Appear confident.
Yeah. Let's open up the test file. Let's write a failing test, shall we?
Okay. So in the view test, right?
Yep. Okay.
Okay.
So we're getting a
What do you want?
a TypeScript error because our menu service now takes 2 dependencies.
Oh, because it wants the eaten item store.
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
So let's just drop in, and we have that fake that we wrote in the last episode. Let's see.
Service module, and it was eaten items fake.
Perfect. Okay, that's happy. That should. In testing world, we call this line 11 a dummy because it's needed to fulfill the contract of menu service, but it's not going to get exercised in this test whatsoever. Like at no point does this test actually call this because it's just exercising the idea of we render this component and we get all the menu items.
Got it.
Okay. Let's create a new test and say it marks an item as eaten.
Okay, and that's probably going to be async. Is it a safe assumption to just say like they will always be async when you're writing tests?
I think it's just so much easier because there's
not really any downside to not doing it, right?
If there is, I don't know them, and I'm not smart enough to know the intricacies.
Yeah.
But there's been so many times I've gotten bitten by not making my test async and not awaiting certain things and like trying to assert on things that actually are going through a promise and my test actually completes before the UI re-renders or something like that.
That's like my Achilles heel is I will always forget that I've returned a promise, but it's it's passed. Yeah. And then like the log shows up a half second later and you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah, that and using object references is the thing that always gets me. Of like, I'll set state with like an object it already has, and then like nothing re-renders. I'm like, what? But I digress. Let's render the menu view like we're doing in the test above, like line 15 to. Remember, like if you scroll up a little, we can probably just copy paste what you have above. Yep.
Do I need all this?
Yeah, let's bring that.
Okay. And so here's a question. At what point do you start doing, because I know that some of these testing libraries will have like a before all or like an after all or those sorts of things. At what point does it make sense to start thinking about one of those?
That is a fantastic question. I have no idea.
I guess when it starts to be more inconvenient to not do it.
It's so funny. I like to feel the pain before creating the solution. So when it like this wasn't that bad. If we created a third one and I was like, all right, go copy and paste it again, and it's like you can see like files start to things are identical. We're taking up like I don't know, like 50 lines of just like copy and pasted code and things are hard to reason about. I think that's when I'm like, okay, now this needs to get put into like a before each block.
Well, and especially when you start to like, if we do start making these do things, then we're gonna have to edit this and have to get edited everywhere, and it turns into a whole thing. But okay, so I'm with it. We've got our menu view.
Okay, and now you asked the question before, like, do we just want this to be a checkbox? You check it, it fires off, or do you want to check a bunch of things and hit submit, and it fires off?
My hunch is that there's not really any cost to unchecking that box, and it's not a destructive exercise. So treating it like a to-do list where you check the box and it persists, and then you can uncheck it if you're like, oops, I didn't mean to click that one. Like, see, that seems fine to me, right?
Yep, totally. That sounds great to me.
Okay, so then in pseudo or in comment code, we want to find the checkbox, or I guess find the item with the name we're looking for.
Yep.
Find the checkbox for that item. And then we want to click that checkbox. And then we would want to assert that the Or we're not, we wouldn't even be asserting in the,
I would.
or I guess, do we want to, okay.
Yeah,
I was
I
thinking
I
we
know
would
exactly
assert-
where you're going. Hit me
we
with
would
it.
assert that the item had persisted, but that's not UI.
Right.
So instead, we should assert that the box is checked.
If I could, I'll stand up. I'll clap. I think that is perfect reasoning. Like we don't want to introduce that business logic into. We don't want to tightly couple our test to that implementation, because we are testing the UI. We don't want to test against our persistence layer, meaning if this thing starts to talk to local storage, or if it starts to talk to a SQLite database, or it starts to like go to S3 for some reason, we don't want to introduce that that knowledge into this test, and we are only concerned about the UI. Okay, so what you have is perfect.
Excellent. Okay, so let
Sorry,
me.
that was a long way for me to say what you have is great.
No, this is great. Let's. So let me. Can I do a visual split? I'm just. You know what? I'm not going to try to do it that way, and instead I'm going to open it this way, because then we can see the view and the test side by side. Because I think that'll help. And is that too small for everybody? Do it like to give us a little more reading room? If that's too small, let me know in the comments. I'll make it bigger again. Otherwise, I'm going to optimize for a little more text on the screen for us. But here we go. We've got a list. And so if I want that test to fail now, I would say we want to, let's see, we're going to use screen. So we're going to, does this return? Like if I say like item equals await screen dot find by text?
Yep, exactly.
Okay. And we're going to just use cheesecake again. Then we would want to say...
Ooh, can I correct this real quick?
Yeah, please do.
If we want to watch this fail immediately and also have a test in the right direction, I would change this to find by label. If we know our implementation is going to need a checkbox.
Oh, right, because we want to... Oh, wait, what do you...
Find by... What is it? Maybe I have the wrong API.
Get by label? Find by label text.
Yep, find by label text. Thank you.
Okay, so find by label text, and that's going to be because we want the checkbox label, and we're going to make sure that we write accessible code because we are, good developers.
Yeah, sometimes.
But then the
fail.
other good thing about this is that this should fail because we don't have a label. But also now we don't have to actually do this part, because if we're using a label, we should just be able to click it. And then we want to assert item. No. How do I, let's see. So now I need to find.
Yeah, so this gets tricky. Let's do you mind commenting out line 37 and 34 for a second? Now I can either hold your hand through this, or you can keep doing what you're doing, whichever.
No, yeah, let's have you hold my hand because I want to get further.
Yeah, totally. Okay.
And so I think that'll work better. So yeah, how do you want to do it?
Let's run the test and just like make sure, like it's called like calling your shot, of being like, I know this is gonna fail, I know how it's gonna fail. And that way, like nothing tricky stands in our way. Okay. So this failed because it can't find the label text.
Okay.
And hopefully our test above continued to pass. And like we didn't break any other test, because that's just like looking for text on screen. All right, let's make this test fit. Let's make this assertion pass real quick.
Okay. And we're going to do that by, we've got our items here. And so what I'm going to do is return a label. And that label is going to be like this. And then I would do, or actually, we're going to put the input at the front. So like an input type, input type equals checkbox. And we're going to give it a value of name.
Yep.
And do we need it to be like, do you want to get into labels and stuff right now, or like actual names and stuff?
When you say actual names and stuff, are you talking about
'Cause
doing like an ID and a?
Well, because we would need a name for this so that when we do submit it, there's something to do.
No, I think we'll be okay.
Okay, so let's just rock it like that.
Okay,
Now
that
our
passes.
test passed because it finds the thing.
All right. I would say let's make sure that this isn't checked. So let's do like an assert item.checked.
Well, it wouldn't be the item because it's late. Because will the label get the pseudo class of checked?
I think this will give us back the input. Let's do this. Let's do assert item checked real quick.
I don't know that that's gonna. It doesn't like.
We might have to
checked.
typecast this to an HTML input.
Well, so I'm finding it by the label though, right? So
yeah.
So I have the HTML label. So do I need to then find the input contained within it?
I honestly think this will give it to you.
Oh, okay.
But
should we just try it and see if it?
Yeah, let's just
let
check.
TypeScript be mad.
Yeah. So it's not going to be a function. It's just going to be a property.
Oh.
And then we can do like is falsy on the end of that.
Okay, so we'll say.
Oh, sorry, it's a method.
Oh, right. Is falsy. Like that.
Yep. Let's see what that gives us.
Assert is not.
Oh, sorry,
defined.
it's just expect. My bad.
Expect is not defined. What am I doing here?
Do we have it?
Oh, we don't have it yet, is why.
Okay. Okay, now what is it telling us?
Now you're mad because invalid chai property is falsy. What am I doing wrong?
Is
to be falsy?
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, sorry about that. It's so hard. Okay.
Okay, so that worked. So then.
Yep.
This is interesting. So this thinks it's an HTML. Oh, so.
Well, let's double check our assumptions and let's make that menu item in our implementation checked and just watch this fail real quick.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm guessing that's like some high level thing that React testing library is doing for us.
Okay. So should I do like as HTML input?
Yep.
What are you? Input element.
Okay.
Then you're not mad at me anymore.
Okay. So now let's do the click.
Let's do the click. And then we would.
And this is the confusing part is we have to, because our call to the storage is asynchronous, we have to wait for the item to be checked.
How do we? Okay, I know what you're talking about, but I can't remember how that works.
Yeah, I can walk you through that.
Yeah,
that is on line 40 or 41. Actually, we'll wrap that in it's a wait, and then the method name is a wait for, or wait for. Yep, sorry. And then that takes a callback, and that callback is our expectation.
Okay. And then that will mean do this, and then I'm going to have to import this, which hopefully just works good.
Okay, and it's going to be, we're waiting for it to be truthy.
Waiting for it to be truthy. And it passed.
I think that's because we still have the check in our component. We don't?
Nope.
Oh, so that is crazy.
Well, because it's doing the thing, right? Because it's.
Oh, this isn't tied to any storage yet.
Well, yeah, because right now we're just checking that this is.
Yep, and
checked,
we haven't actually hit anything.
Right.
Okay, this is good. Let's write another test. So I was expecting this to fail. but it's not. So I'm going to write another.
Because right now we're quite literally just testing that
just
like HTML
DOM.
does what we expect.
Exactly. Okay, let's write another test to actually force
In the
it.
view?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we'll make this thing fail. So I think it's good to hold on to this test, and we're going to fail it in a second. But we're going to write another test that we know will actually fail.
Okay.
Okay. So I would say the test should be it marks or it renders eaten items.
Okay, so we're getting into our
third copy and paste
guy here. We're going to copy paste again. And
okay, and this one, instead of just instantiating the fake store, let's instantiate it outside of that constructor, and let's save it off to a variable. So line 48, just bring it out.
Bring it out to
just like the scope of that test, like to line 45.
The scope of this test. Okay.
Yep.
Like in here.
Yep. And let's save that off to a variable.
Okay.
And then let's populate that with some fake data.
Got it. Eaten items dot
mark item as eaten, and let's just toss cheesecake in there. Okay. So now when we render our view and we get cheesecake, that should be checked by default.
Right. So then we're going to copy paste this again.
Yep.
And we would expect this
to be truthy. Jason. Did I lose you?
Sorry about that. My whole camera setup just got weird.
I wasn't sure if it was me or you.
Is all wrong. Okay, can I hear you now?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Sorry about that.
It's all good.
I think the cable going to this computer just did something weird because when I unplugged and replugged it, everything came back.
That's so crazy.
Okay.
I thought we were in big trouble.
I was also a little worried there to be. So this one we would expect to fail because
totally.
We have our menu view. We've got the cheesecake. Now the cheesecake has been manually marked as eaten up here.
Yep.
So we would expect this to already be checked, and it is currently not,
exactly.
Which is why it is failing.
Perfect. Yep.
Okay.
Basically like testing the controlled input of everything, whereas before we weren't testing any controlled input whatsoever.
Right.
Okay, so let's make this one pass.
Okay, and to do that, we need to get our menu items. We have our menu items.
Yep.
And our checked would equal, do we get back just right out of the gate whether or not it's Eaten?
I think we'll need to. So right now we're getting our menu items through a hook, the use menu items.
Uh-huh.
I think that would have to return us our eaten menu items.
Okay, so right now this is getting the items.
Yep.
And it is not giving us anything that would like loop through the items to give us. Okay, so we need to also get, how did we do this? Get menu service.
Yep.
And it does send back the eaten items fake.
Yep. So this gives us back a new menu service. So I think we just need to get the eaten items off of it. And probably just put that into state and return it.
Okay. So that coming back then means that we have in the service, we should be able to eaten items would be await service get eaten items. Okay, it was there all along. And then we're going to, is this, am I in the right direction here?
I think this is a great direction, but I also think, let's do this direction. Let's say this is our first iteration of this direction. Let's just like do the pattern that we see in front of us.
Yeah,
and
because
then we can talk about trade-offs later.
Already have some misgivings about what we're doing right here.
Okay.
But I think
you might just have to type that that state.
Why don't you? Huh. Okay, that's fine. Wait.
Yeah, go up. It is set.
It's just a set of a string?
Yep, exactly, because it's just the names of our menu items.
Oh, right.
Yep, and you can get rid of that that array that's wrapping it.
Because it is a set.
Yep, and then exactly. And I think we're missing an alligator guy.
An alligator?
Sorry, lesson. Yeah, there we go.
Right, the pointy boy.
Yeah, sorry, the pointy boy. We all got our own terms.
Okay, so we've got our eaten items. We've got the set is working there, and so then what we're gonna do is we're gonna say checked equals.
I think we need to return it from the hook real quick before we.
Didn't we?
Sorry, on line 22, we'll have to return the state.
Line 22.
We're returning the menu items, and we need to return the eaten items as well.
Oh, I understand. Yes, okay. So we can do this as so get one of those, get one of these.
Perfect.
And then down here, we're going to check if eaten items has name.
Yep. Perfect. Okay.
Okay.
So which one passed and which one failed?
So we've got
Yowza.
found multiple elements with the text of cheesecake.
Let's do a cleanup too. This happens.
Because we rendered it too many times.
Yep. Do an after in our test real quick. Do an after each block. And then call cleanup. And I think that comes from React testing library, which will clean our DOM for us. Perfect. All right, let's see the test output again. Okay,
so
one failed.
One failure.
And that is
line. The item to be
perfect. Okay. So we passed the test that was failing, and now we failed the test that was passing. This is exactly what we want.
It's a controlled input now.
Yep. So now we have to write the implementation logic for actually clicking.
Okay. So our logic then is going to be we need like an on-click.
Yeah,
handler,
exactly.
Right? So we'll do an on-click, and that's going to get the event. Do we need the event? Yeah, because we need the
Yeah, we
target
need the
to get the
target.
name.
Yep.
So then we're going to get the. What's the easiest way to do this? Are you a
event.
form data person? Or are you an event target dot?
For this, I'm event target.
Okay, so we're going to say. Let's see, new item equals event.target.value.
Yep.
And then we're going to say.
So now we need an action to fire off.
Okay, and so that means we need to get. Can we just pass that out as like a helper function?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay, so we're gonna.
Oh wait, I don't know if we can because we're gonna need to set that state. Let's keep doing what you're doing, and let's see how it goes. You might be thinking.
Oh, that's not going to work, right? Yeah, you're right. So we need to write a function.
Yeah.
And that function is going to update the state. So
Exactly.
That's going to be. We'll make the function called.
Mark as eaten.
Mark as eaten. And that's going to take the name, be a string, and then that is going to call await service dot. Where's my?
We got to bring that thing up out of the use effect. I would wrap that in a use memo too, just for. It's like one of those things I just do by default now.
Okay. Wrap this particularly?
Yeah.
What does, you know what? I don't really use memo. So is it a callback or do I pass in like get menu
I think
service like that?
I think you can do that and then do an empty array as a second, the like dependency array.
Got
Yep.
it.
And that will just like cache this for us. So we're not creating a new menu service every time we re-render.
Got it. So then we're going to pass in mark as eaten, which means down here, we're going to get it out.
Yep.
And then when we get an on click, we're going to mark as eaten the new item. That should do the thing. So then down here, we're going to add an on click that is click.
Perfect.
Probably name that better. Say handle click. You stop helping.
Cool. And what do our tests look like?
So that should have worked, but it didn't. And it didn't because why?
Oh, because we have to requery our eaten items and set state again. So scroll on up. So we mark it on line 23, we mark it as eaten.
Oh.
And now we need to ask our service, can I have my eaten items back so I can set rack state?
Okay, and so we're going to do that quite literally like this.
Yep.
Okay.
And I think we might have to rewrap it in a, like, remember how I said I always get caught by object references?
Yeah.
I think we're going to have to do the React thing and create a brand new set again. So it calls I'm blanking on the name, the reconciliation.
Like new set and spread it in?
Yep, exactly. I don't know if do we have to spread it or can we just do new set?
Such a fabulous question.
Let's see. What happens if you get rid of the spread? Does our test pass?
What?
Okay.
Why?
I guess it can take a set.
But why wouldn't it take the, you know what? It doesn't matter.
Or we could probably also do, I know it takes an array for sure. We could probably do array from and pass
Oh,
it to
because I would need to, yeah. I needed to put the spread in an array because otherwise I was just passing in a bunch of parameters. Okay. Yep. So I was just being bad at JavaScript. That's fine. Mystery solved.
Cool. So we have this thing working. Let's load it up in the browser and just test it real quick.
Okay. So we've got it here. Oh, wait, did you see that?
No, what happened?
Why do we have, we've got duplicates in here.
I imagine this is because I think the menu has duplicates of like specials and entrees.
Oh, like it shows up in different places.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think this is right. And I would say like this is probably the functionality that we'd want.
Mm-hmm.
Minus the fact that nothing's on a new line.
Sure. Yeah, we could probably make that better.
Yeah. But the fact that like I think a menu will have like specials and will have like the same item that's like on a happy hour menu. Mm-hmm. And I think once you eat one item, you've eaten it everywhere. Like there's no difference between the happy hour cheesecake.
That'll at least give us
yeah, awesome.
That way we can at least kind of see what's going on here. So okay.
Do you want to? I feel like you were going to say something. I didn't mean to step on your toes.
No. I was just thinking about what we would do next year, because the thing I noticed when I was seeing the multiple checks was that when I do this, I can't mark it as uneaten now if I misclick, so we don't have like the toggle. Yep. Do you care about that, or do you want to move on to something else?
Let's talk about refactoring real quick.
Okay.
And I feel like you were going someplace, which is we were looking at that hook, and you're like, do I just set state here? Do I like create another state? And I think you're going to say like, do I merge it into our existing data set?
That's what I was thinking. Is I was thinking that this code looks like it would benefit from being, in my mind, what I'm imagining is that we would pass out the items as an object that have a name and a status, or like a flag for whether or not they're eaten, so that way you've kind of got like one thing, and then we could even potentially hook the mark as eaten onto the items, which that might not be worth doing, but then you're kind of in this whole like we're passing out like one thing, right? And then as we loop, we can do stuff on that one thing in a way that feels kind of related to it.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's a great point. And if we were like pairing together on like at an actual company doing stuff, I'd be like, yeah, let's take the time to make that refactor. And the good thing I think the thing that I want to call out is like, we make that refactor, we change everything exactly how you described it, like becomes this like view model type thing of being like, here's my item. It has if I'm checked or not. And it also has the action to mark it as eaten or uneaten. And our tests on the left don't have to change at all.
Man, I always forget how these work, and they're always so irritating.
Yeah, is it HTML event? I don't know.
Of course it's not. You know what? I don't care.
Unknown.
I'm just going to leave it. Yeah, well, why not? Hush you. Oh, and then you're mad. Now you're mad? No. Okay. We'll just let you be mad. So sorry, you were going somewhere before I word sniped myself.
Oh, I just made the best point ever, and you had no. I was saying yes, like I think the point that you made of like putting this all together in like a view model type thing would clean up this code, would make it way more understandable, would like reduce the complexity in it, and would be the right move. And the best part about that is if we did that, I promise you our tests wouldn't have to change at all.
Right.
Our tests would be completely decoupled to any way that you want to structure your components right now.
Right. And that is something that I've noticed that I really like, is that nothing here is the only thing that assumes we're even using React is this render.
Yeah.
Right. Everything else that we're doing is just like is there an item that has this thing? Can I click on it? Like how we package that up, whether or not we're using Vue or React or whatever doesn't really matter here because all we're doing is looking for HTML on the screen.
Yep.
So this could be testing like Webflow.
Yep, exactly.
Which is like, and I do really like that approach to writing tests because it's, one of the things that I remember doing when I was early on in my career is I would try to test, I'd get 100% test coverage, but I would do that by testing implementation details. And then I would find every single time we refactored the code, I had to refactor all my tests. And I was like, this doesn't feel worth it. Like, why am I doing this? Which then led me to swing too far where I was like, tests aren't as important as you think. And then I realized it was because I was writing bad tests. So I'm, a little bit of a long walk to get to somewhere healthy, but
yeah. But I think this becomes my favorite part now of like, I get to use on your right side panel menu view.tsx, I get to use it as a playground. I get to wrap things up into a view model, or I can bring things out into their own separate hooks, or I can bring in like some reactive state management library, and I can make all those changes and have the confidence that they are working as intended because of the panel that's on the left.
Right.
But for the sake of this stream, let's just keep trucking down the road.
Got it.
So everything works. We could either quickly do the uncheck if you want, or we can go up another level to Playwright and write a browser test.
Let's go up and do a browser test because we'd have to modify that service to allow removing eaten items, and I think that's not
that would require another test too.
Yeah, right. So let's not bother with that. Let's instead get into Playwright because I think that'll be really interesting and kind of a new area to get into.
Let's open up your file structure, and there should be an E to E folder, I believe, if you scroll up. E to E. Okay. And I think that's just like an example file that they give you.
Mm-hmm.
We can rename that to like view menu or index. I don't know. I say one of the things I'm worst at is like naming things correctly. So menu spec sounds good.
That tracks. Like if we're not bad at naming it, then we're betraying the meme.
Yeah. Do I like name it after the route? Do I name it after the domain? I don't know.
Sure. Yeah, and I don't know that I have strong opinions on that one. I think I agree that menu is the right call in this case because we're writing the menu lib and everything we're doing is wrapped up in that. So naming it after what we're testing seems reasonable. Perfect.
I'll follow your lead and say Jason says we're doing great. So I feel safe. Okay. So this has like a test file, an example test for us.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go off of this and let's just like change the description of that. And let's do like the entire behavior of I show up on the page, I see a menu item, I check it, it's now checked. So how do we encapsulate that into a describe block?
View and mark item as eaten, right?
Perfect. Yep.
Okay.
So we go to the home page. We should be able to use like the same find by label. So I think it should be page.find by label.
Okay, so this is going to be item is going to be page.find. Get by label?
I think page get. Yeah, sorry. That's exactly what it is.
Okay, so we're going to grab cheesecake again. Now this is going to be the end-to-end does this use the mocks?
This right now is using, let's hop down real quick to the menu service file. And we have this get menu service. And this is using our Cheesecake Factory menu client and our eaten items fake. So this theoretically should work.
Okay, so I'm going to use this then.
Yep, but we don't have to set up any code.
Oh, right, because it's going to load the actual page.
Yep, it's going to load the actual browser.
Got it. Okay, but that does mean that it's not going to be using our fake labels. It's going to be using real ones. So I should pick one of these.
Yeah, great call. Man, you are so much smarter than I am. I would have been like, why isn't cheesecake in there? Why isn't cheesy cheesecake showing up in our browser? Okay, so we get the item. And let's just do it. Oh my gosh. Let's assert that it's not clicked yet. Let's like run this thing soup to nuts. So right now we're finding an item by the title.
To be checked.
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
Then we want to.
Should we start here and make sure that we're right?
Let's. Okay.
Is it test E to E? Is that how we did it?
I believe so.
Yes. Okay, so that failed because executable doesn't exist. What am I missing?
Do that npx playwright install.
Oh boy.
It's possible we haven't installed an actual.
It is entirely impossible. I don't know if I've ever installed Playwright. I'm trying to think if I feel like the last time that I was doing the end-to-end stuff, I was using Cypress. So I don't know that I've used Playwright before. But let's see. So we've got it now. Let's try again. Okay, view item mark as eaten. It says
not checked.
Oh, not to be checked. No, it should be not checked.
Yeah.
What are you mad about?
Oh, it needs to be awaited. Sorry. Playwright world.
Like this, await?
Yep.
Okay,
let's try that.
How do I...
I don't know. Let's just cancel on this and rerun it again. I don't think it does.
To be checked. Is it because I'm getting the label?
That's a
wait, strict mode violation. Get by label resolved to 2 elements.
Oh, okay. Let's do something that doesn't have 2 elements.
Okay, so we're gonna find maybe something down here is, I don't know. Let's just try. We'll keep trying at random until one of them doesn't have 2 instances. Or alternatively, we could just dedupe the list.
Yeah, that also works.
If this one gives us the... Okay, so this one passed.
That's great. Okay, so now we want to click it.
Okay, so now we want to click it. And we're going to do that. Let me just make this a little... so we're going to... Do we await this as well?
Yeah, I think in Playwright World, you await everything.
Okay, and then we would await, expect item to be checked. Okay, and theoretically speaking, that's just going to run and work. And it does.
Okay, perfect. So this is passing. And I also, do you mind opening up package.json real quick? There is that E to E UI that also gives you kind of a nice, you were like, how do I redo this? And I forgot that this is the way that I usually do it. It gives you a nice UI that you can hit that play button. It'll play through all your tests.
Oh, this is just like Cypress.
Yep, exactly. Okay. Nice. So right now, this is using a fake storage layer. How would we get this test to fail? And I didn't mean to act like your teacher being like, Mr. Jason, how do we make this fail?
No, I appreciate it. So how do we make this fail? We would make this fail by refreshing the page and realizing that it didn't persist.
God, you are so smart. A+.
I would like my gold star now, please.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah. So let's do page reload.
Okay, so we reload the page and then same.
I think we just have to do line 12 again. Oh, sorry, we have to query.
So it'd be like this, right?
Yeah.
Do it like this. Okay, so now this should fail.
Yep. And if you go to your
just
Playwright
hit
thing,
this up again, I can just run it again. Reloads and
it fails.
Okay.
What's the error say? I feel like.
Well, the error should be
nice.
Yeah, expect to be checked, which it's saying it's not, which we can see down somewhere in here if we could find it. It's not there.
Cool. Awesome. So this is us kind of driving to the right implementation. And I feel like this is also something I kind of want to check out the big brains on Jason.
Thank you. Thank you.
This is something I try to do intentionally, which is not reach for the solution that I'm going to need, and just reach for the solution that's going to pass the test for now. And then I come up with the next test that's going to fail. And then I think through this, maybe I'm just full of crap, but I think you end up with better decision making after you know the problem.
So the reason, just to repeat that back and make sure that I understand where you're coming from, what you're saying is if I'm building this app, right, my non-test driven approach would be to say I know I'm going to end up using a database, so let me start by installing SQLite or Supabase or whatever the thing is that I'm going to use. And then then as I start implementing that, all of the UI decisions, all of the service decisions are kind of all lumped together, and I'm not really thinking about them as distinct things that might swap out over time. I'm thinking of all of them as an extension of my database.
Exactly. Yeah, check out the big brain on Jason. That is exact. That's you just verbalized exactly the gobbledygook that I have in my brain that I can't articulate very well.
So having lived through this pain a lot, because I love the prototype, and my approach to prototyping is typically to run through it in a whiteboard way. And then once I've figured out what the services are, I start smashing services together to get something that mostly functions. But then almost always when I was at Netlify, for example, I would prototype things, but when I brought them to other people, I said, the first thing you should do is completely destroy this and then build it the right way. Yep. Because I'm showing you that it's possible. I'm not showing you how it should be built.
Yep, exactly.
Because I'd always made some kind of a rat's nest. So I think this is what I like about this is that I haven't looked at this code since December when we worked on it, and I have yet to step on my own code in this project. Totally. Which is really interesting. I don't think that's ever been true before.
We'll just pair together constantly. And to your point of prototyping, I rely on this stuff at work a lot. I do a lot of user-facing stuff where I'm talking to users, really understanding the problems and trying to put good solutions in front of them. The state that this application is in right now, I would deploy up to some type of staging environment, go to a user and be like, hey, can you click around this and just think out loud? And that way I'm not tied to a database. If they're oh, I need these menu items to load instantaneously. These things need to load in 16 milliseconds. That's going to change the way I go about my implementation.
Right.
Versus them being oh, I have 10 minutes to wait to get these items. That would be oh, okay, now we have the time to dedupe our list, or we have time to go off and fetch more data around calories and stuff like that. And putting in what I call a walking skeleton in front of user with the not final implementation, you get a lot of good feedback, and you also end up in a world where it's not just crappy prototype code, but it's actually something that can grow and expand over time.
Yeah, no, I like this. Okay. So now we have an actual need. We've hit the point in our testing where we need to persist between page loads.
Yep.
What do you want to use for this?
Do we need a database?
I mean, we could use local storage, but that makes some assumptions about how somebody might use this.
Yeah.
Because I know personally, I'm probably going to use it across 2 devices. Like I would have my phone at the Cheesecake Factory, and then I'd want to look at home to check my progress.
Yep, totally. Let's, for the sake of this test, just to get this test to pass, let's do local storage.
Okay.
And then
So
I would deploy it, and I'd say, Jason, look at this. And you'd be like, I want to check this off at the Cheesecake Factory, and I want to go back to my computer. And then I'd be like, okay, now let's bring in a database. But for now, let's go to local storage.
Got it. Okay. So for us to do that, I'm going to, when we get into our eaten items service, which is, so we have our eaten items store.
Yep.
And then we have fake. So then is this going to be our real one?
Yeah, well, I don't know what's real. What is life? I would call this like eaten items local storage.
Okay.
And this happens to me all the time. It's like I'll have different implementations. Like I'll have a menu service REST API, or I'll have a menu service GraphQL, or I don't know. I'm just trying to come up with examples of being like, I try to keep things specific, and I only get rid of things when I know I don't need them anymore. So I like wouldn't name something real or like the final.
Fair, yeah. Final dot actually final dot v2.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So if we're gonna do this, we should probably store it as like a serialized JSON.
Yep, that
was just a list of names.
Yep.
Okay, so we're gonna get item, and it's gonna be eaten items. Do you have any preferences on like naming conventions and stuff?
I have no preferences ever. Whatever feels good.
Right. So you could, like, what I've taken to doing is just putting some kind of an identifier on it so that it's somewhat clear what the hell is going on.
Yep.
But it's yeah, I don't know that it really matters. So then what are you mad about? Oh, I haven't implemented the methods yet.
Yep.
So this is not quite correct because we need to JSON parse. And you're mad because
We'll have to let's just create our methods to implement that interface.
Sure. So we need
a get eaten items, and a mark items as eaten.
Okay. So get eaten items is going to be one of these.
Yep.
And that is going to be.
Yeah, and that way you can just do like a null check in there.
Okay, so this then is going to just be our new set.
Yeah, we can do that.
And then this is going to be, let's see, stored will be local storage. And then down here we can say if stored, then we can just return.
We have to return an empty items to adhere to the contract. Yep, exactly.
Okay, and then otherwise we are going to return JSON. Oh, that's my name. Parse. Stored. Okay.
I think that also has to return because it's coming back as JSON and we're parsing. It's going to be an array, so I think you now have to wrap that in a new set.
Yes, that is absolutely correct. Okay. So
and then I think we can probably get rid of items because we're not using that up on line 32. Sorry, my eyes are bad.
Wait. Oh, you're right. You're right. Because we never. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, hold on.
I'm holding.
Because we are going to need to serialize these to put them into local storage.
Yep.
So won't we need to be able to share them between?
Maybe.
Like, no, I guess because we're gonna. When you mark an item as eaten, that's gonna update. Well,
guess what? We have it. Yeah, let's do it. Do whatever you want. We have a test.
So my thinking here is we've got this, and this is going to be async. This one takes a name, and then it is going to. So this needs to update the item, so it would need to have access to the items because it's only getting the name.
Yep.
So we would need to be able to do something like items.add. So yeah, we need that, I think.
I would argue,
No?
and I think we're both very smart individuals. I would call this get eaten items. Get eaten item.
Wait, why did I? Oh, I spelled it wrong. Is what happened. I was like, what is going on here? What are you mad about?
I think this needs to be async.
Not
too.
assignable to the same property. Set unknown.
We have to put a string in between the pointer boys, as you would say.
Oh, here.
Yep.
Okay. And then, whoa. Like that. Now you're mad. Now you're happy. Okay. So you're saying instead, do a this.get eaten items, and we're going to say
Items. Yep.
come on. And then we're going to say items.add name.
Yep. And then toss that
what
back
does this
into
return?
a boolean.
A boolean.
So I just like return true.
So then we're going to local storage set item.
Yep.
This should probably be in a variable of some sort. And we're going to set that to JSON stringify items. And to do that, we need to probably spread it into an array. Right?
Yeah. Is that right?
I think that's the easiest thing to do. Because we could do it a handful of ways. I just think
Yeah, that looks right to me.
easier if we don't. Okay. Then we're going to return true.
Perfect.
So that should actually persist. And then when we get our eaten items, those will show up, which means that this is all going to work. And then that means all we need to do now is swap out our service down here to use the local storage
Yep.
instead of the other one. And we don't use that anywhere else, right? Except in the tests.
The local storage.
With the fake eaten items.
Oh yeah, the fake. We only use that in the tests.
And we don't need to change that one because that one we're not trying to check persistence.
Yep.
Okay. So the moment of truth here then is I should be able to check chicken shawarma and then refresh the page. Okay, so my manual testing worked. Now let's try our real test and let's see what happens. Oh, and I can just go back to my UI, run it again. Come on. No. Oh no, what happened?
It passed, right?
Wait, it did?
That's what. There's a green check mark on the side of it. That.
Wait, why?
I don't know what those red X's are. What happens if you run this in non-UI mode?
Just refresh the entire thing and let's try it one more time. And it says it passed.
Yeah,
Is that because you think it's slow?
That's possible.
Because it is. These are no, but that one was really fast.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I have no idea.
Okay, so let's run this in not mode, and that passed. Okay, so we've got persistence.
We got persistence. We have
a test to prove it.
We have a test to prove it, and it's testing through the browser. And this is where things get really fun and interesting. We have 15 minutes left. I don't know if we're going to get to it, but I would say let's role play that I am your manager.
Okay.
And I'm like, Jason, this cheesecake, I don't know why I'm trying to like act all noble as a manager. Jason, this Cheesecake Factory menu service that you built, it's crushing it. The numbers are through the roof. I'm going to drop this voice. I'm just going to act like myself now. The Cheesecake Factory menu service is doing great. I listened to some podcast and they were talking about Astro and server-side rendering, and it sounds really interesting. And I think we'd get a lot of benefits from it in our Cheesecake menu service. Can you put together like a prototype or walking skeleton of doing this in Astro land?
Yeah, I think we can really fast, actually.
Okay.
So for us to do that, we've got our index here. Right now, we're pulling in the menu view.
Yep.
But I believe this is all very portable. Like none of this is React dependent, right?
Right.
So the thing that I would need to do then is I would need to load in our menu view.
Mm-hmm.
No, I would need to load in our, why don't we do this? Let's make a component and we're going to call this menu view.astro. And then I think we can do almost exactly the same things, right?
I think so too.
So this is going to, ooh, hold on.
Oh, snap.
Look at us go, everybody. Okay, so so then we've got our menu view is in here, our menu view is in here. I'm going to grab out this stuff, which we should be able to drop right there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to where is it? Get menu service gives us the whole service, and we shouldn't have to worry about const service equals get menu service. And then let's just start by doing my favorite thing, which is to JSON dump everything.
Okay, cool.
And I'm gonna just service dot get items.
That might be a promise. I actually think that is a promise.
Oh, good call. Yeah, let's
just, I'll wait that up in the front matter.
Okay, so now we can do this. Then out here, instead of using this, we can then pull in, comment this one out, and we'll say import menu view from lib menu components, and we'll get the Astro one. And then it's not client only anymore, but we get all of our stuff. So we're already in pretty good shape there. So then let's go grab our logic here. And we can actually take this whole thing and do one of those. And then we don't need keys anymore because it's not React. This isn't gonna do what we want, so we're gonna leave that out for a second. And then we don't have our eaten items yet, but we sure can.
Yep.
Okay, so then we've got our eaten items. So then theoretically speaking, we should see.
Wait.
You gotta get out of here. Local storage is not defined. Oh,
yeah,
because...
that's happening. Yeah, sorry, I set you up for failure. Let's drop in our fake again.
Okay, so we're gonna drop in our fake.
And this is like, if we were in a real world situation, this is where I'd be like, oh, I gotta reach for a database. Or I would go to my fake and mark it down. And like when I'm presenting this to the team of being like, this is what this looks like in Astro, I'd be like, we'd have to bring in a real database.
Mm-hmm. But so now we have like right now they're uncontrolled inputs because we dropped out our click handler.
And if we ran our end-to-end test, I'm guessing things would break.
It would fail, and the reason it would fail is because our persistence isn't working.
Yep, totally.
Now, for us to fix that, we could swap to SQLite really fast, and that would probably solve this problem. I don't know that we can do that in 5 minutes or whatever.
Yeah, I think we can probably continue to rely on this fake.
Okay.
Let's, just to make sure I'm not going crazy, let's pull this fake out. So that way when we call it service menu, we're not creating a new one. Like, let's just save this off to its own variable out of the scope of this method. Because this is running on the server.
Right.
So this should become a singleton.
Oh, so it would work then.
It would work.
Maybe we'll see,
I think,
because
yeah,
Astro
we'll see.
Astro might be running more like serverless, in which case the singleton doesn't help us anymore.
Yeah, totally.
I don't know what it's going to do in dev mode though, so let's find out.
Okay, but we haven't actually written to this store yet.
Oh, you're right, we haven't. So so here then what we can do is we're going to, what's the fastest way to do this?
My fastest way would be to write JavaScript, but
yeah, so we could do it JavaScript side.
yeah.
However, actually, because we've moved this to a server-side thing, I don't know how that would work. So I think instead what we want to do is shoot. So Astro's got actions,
We can do an action.
but we would need to turn each of these into its own form that we could submit, which is fine. That's easy enough. Form method, we'll make it a post, and that's probably fine. And then actually what we can do is if Astro dot, what is it?
Request that method.
Dot method equals post, then what we'll do is we can say if or data equals new form data. Oh, is it Astro request dot body? Think will work? No, that's not gonna work. That's a whole buffer, isn't it?
Can you do form data? Request.form data? Is that a thing?
Oh yeah, do they just give it to me? They do. So then I don't have to actually wrap it. That's right. Good job, Astro, for making that easy. Then we can get the item equals data.get name.
Yep.
Why are you doing that?
Oh, I think it has to be awaited.
Okay. Then we can service dot mark item as eaten.
Yep.
Item.
Yep.
That should solve that problem. We're just going to cast it as string because why not?
I think, do we have to do a name equals name on line 20?
What?
Get name. Does that mean?
Oh, right. Because we do need
Name
to,
equal-
we
yeah.
need to give it a name.
Sorry, my brain short-circuited for a second. I was like, I said something I thought would make sense.
Okay, so the other thing that we have to do though is now I'm going to do this the really gross way,
Okay.
and we're going to
Submit it.
move this up here, and we're just going to add a button type submit, because I feel like what I want to see is that we just refactored this to being server side and it works.
Yeah.
And I don't care if it looks nice. No, content was not one of.
Oh, I've seen this. I think we have to do like a pre-render equals false.
Oh, am I in hybrid mode?
Yeah.
Pre-render equals false.
Come on.
Okay, here.
How
dare you?
Seriously.
Why are you doing the thing? So you should be, okay, Astro form submit form data. And I'm missing what? So here's our form.
Yep.
Method posts. Yep.
Yep.
And then we get our form data.
Yep.
Boo. What's going on? What's our setup here? Let me look real quick just to see. So we should be in hybrid mode by default. Let me just double check that.
Okay.
Let's just make it server mode. Why not?
Okay, cool.
And that should solve this problem. So we're gonna do that.
Oh,
And now when I don't want to refresh the page, I just want to load it again. And look at us go, everybody.
All right. The moment of truth. Run that end-to-end test.
Okay, so we're out here. End-to-end test. Come on.
Oh, this is not promising.
No.
No.
What changed? Expect item to be checked. Timed out.
That's so weird. Oh, weird. Oh, because you have to hit the save button.
Ah, dang it. Okay, but that's okay. We can fix that. So I guess
Let's do. Okay, let's go to your component. I have a way.
You just want to make it
Get rid of it?
click.
Yeah.
Okay. Gross. It's
I
okay.
know.
Can we just on? What is it on Astro? Is it?
It might be on. Let's do it. I know it on the input to do on change.
Got it. On change.
And then in a string, it's like this dot form dot submit.
In a string?
In a string. I think this is a browser thing.
Is with the braces?
I don't know. Let's do no braces.
You mad because I capitalized something? There we go.
Okay. What happens if you refresh? Okay, try the parens.
Is it doing anything?
That's a great question.
Look at it
That's
go.
yeah.
Here we are. That's a submit. So let's run this again. So we just we made a mess out of this, right?
Yes, definitely.
But we just refactored to server-side rendering, and we didn't have to change the tests.
Didn't have to change the test. Didn't have to change our menu service.
That's freaking huge. Like I think the thing that always made me hesitant about tests was the risk that like we would get down this road and then we'd get some request. That request would require us to refactor something, and that refactor would inevitably break 100% of our code. And then it was like, all right, are we ever going to get the prioritization to be able to like rewrite tests? And the answer was always no.
Right.
But if we're changing functionality and the tests we write only exist to prove that the functionality we've designed works, now they're part of the feature, right? It's no longer like a nice thing that we're doing to make a point about like, oh, look how much test coverage I have. It's like, no, this is actually what proves that our app works.
Yeah. Your ability to articulate this is amazing. I think that's like the most spot on way to describe this.
It is my gift of spending 15 years explaining this kind of stuff.
Yeah, but okay, for me, it takes me 2 pairing sessions to like actually like show the benefit.
I think the thing is like, you know, I don't know that I would have been able to do this without the guidance, and so, you know, my gift is always summarization, and so I think that this is one of those things that it helps it kind of click into my brain why this is valuable, and like how much of a benefit it adds to like think about your code in this way and break it apart. Because I think that I and a handful of people in the chat, when we first saw that we were like, oh, we're making a menu service, like, man, this feels like a lot.
Yeah.
Well, here we are later, we just refactored the entire app to do a completely different rendering mode. We dropped React, like huge migration, and none of the tests had to change.
None of the tests had to change. Like the surface area of the code that you had to change was just the technology that changed.
It was just the view layer. Like our service didn't change, our test didn't change, only the view changed. That's really powerful stuff. And so I think that's about as much time as we have. So for folks who want to take it further, where should they go if they want to learn more? Let me start dropping links to
oh my gosh,
to your stuff in the way here. But is there anything that you would recommend for people to go check out?
I think just like most most presentations on TDD will cover this stuff. I actually this like bookshelf is most of my wife's that reads a lot of romance novels, but there's one book in here that I come back to like on a yearly basis, and it's Growing Object-Oriented Software. Growing Object-Oriented Software Guided by Tests. Goose is what people call it. It's in Java, so we have ChatGPT now that can like, you can type in JavaScript code and be like, or you can type in Java code and be like, give me the JavaScript version. But I reread that thing at least once a year, and it's like informed a lot of my mentality around writing software.
Yeah. Well, this is great. So let me just really quickly commit everything that we did. We add everything here, and then we'll just git commit and say more features, more tests, all passing because we are geniuses. And then we're gonna get that pushed. If you want to see this code here, this is the repo we've been working on. And you can go kind of follow along, check that out, give it a try, get in there and write your own tests, make some changes, see how they feel. But this was really nice to work in. Cory, thank you so much for taking the time to teach us this stuff, because I really do think
thank you.
This is the kind of stuff that makes teams function, not just right out of the gate, but for extended periods of time.
Totally. Yeah. Go fast forever is like the phrase that's like very gimmicky, but great.
Go fast forever is an excellent phrase. I love that. Any final words for everybody before we wrap it up?
I guess not. Thank you for watching. I mean, it's hard to like sit through, I think, 3 hours worth of coding. So people who are doing that, that's awesome. It's something I like to do in my spare time. So I appreciate the attention.
Excellent. All right. Well, Cory, thank you so much. Y'all, thank you so much for hanging out. Thank you to Rachel from White Coat Captioning for doing the live captioning today. We will see you all soon. My schedule is empty right now. So if you got somebody you want to see on the show, let me know. I'm going to be reaching out to some people as well, but we will be back. Keep an eye on codetv.dev for updates. Thanks, Cory. Thanks, y'all. We'll see you next time.